All right, a quick disclaimer. We are not promoting prostitution in any way, shape, or form. We're just here as a voice for everyone in the industry to let us know how they got in the business and what they feel about legalization. I am very, very excited today. I've been waiting on this for a long time. We have a very famous porn star. She's very well known in the industry. She is awesome. She has a lot of followings. And I'm very, very honored and blessed to have her today with us. This is Miss Jadan Snow. Yay!
Hi. How are you doing?
Jadan, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. So real quickly, just for legal purposes, are you over 21?
Yes, I am.
Are you sure? Because you don't look a day over 19.
I just turned 22.
Awesome. So, go ahead and take the floor. Tell us a little bit about your background, if you like. And
so my background, why I'm here, is because I do porn. I've done a lot of independent porn. And what's even more unique about my background is that I'm a registered nurse. I have a bachelor's degree in social psychology and a master's degree in nursing. I'm also a veteran of Iraq, where I did 2 tours as a Patriot missile operator. So I'm saying that not to gloat, but so people understand that I didn't go into porn because it was my last resort, because I was a drug addict, because I had nothing else, because I was abused. I have no abuse in my background at all. No sexual abuse, no physical abuse. So it's all by choice, because I believe sexuality is very powerful and it can help enlighten you and release a lot of things that other forms of meditation can't. Let's say that. So I think the whole industry has made me a stronger person and very strong in my belief of what I'm doing because of all the obstacles I've hit along the way, which I guess we can go into more details as it goes on, but yes.
That's really interesting.
A little synopsis.
Yes. That's really interesting because you went from, being a nurse and everything else with your medical background. It's really about caring for people. And it's really interesting how you connect that with caring for people still, but in a different way.
It's still the same. It's healing. And I like it, healing in a fashion, because sexuality is healing and it's connecting with somebody on, even if it's just a physical level, you're still connecting just as when you're nursing. But the great thing is that they're not sick and they want to be there with me filming.
Right.
It's completely different than being a nurse where you're constantly getting just, hit with negativity. So, yeah.
So it's more of like a more positive environment, more happy environment.
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely. Yes.
That's awesome. So did you just wake up one day and just decided I want to be a porn star, or how did that work for you? What was the process for you?
Oh gosh, it's been a long process, probably like 7 years. And I've shut Jadan Snow down a couple times and brought it back. But it all started when a significant other of mine at the time wanted to teach me to fight. You know how men are, they want to teach you what they know, right? So he's trying to teach me to box and to fight. And I'm like doing it. I'm like, I think this is me. After a couple of sessions, I'm like, I'm more like a sex person. I'm more like, I grew up as a dancer, not a stripper, but like dancing all the way through elementary and high school and a cheerleader. So I'm like a performer. But I like sex, and I'm like into that feminine aspect. And I said, I think that's what I should be doing. And he's like, ding, ding, ding. And he's like, started taking sexy pics and getting on Twitter and just doing like very simple stuff, like masturbation videos or like little POV of him and I. This was years ago. And there was no lifestyle involvement. There was no one else involved. So it just kind of started just messing around. And that also helps to enhance relationships.
Absolutely.
And then as time went on, it was New Year's Eve. We went to a place called Eyes Wide Shut out in Tampa. And it's like a sex club. On one side, it's like a normal club. And then you go out and you go into another area of the club. And it's like unique rooms and beds everywhere where you can have sex in front of people or you can do in private. We're in this huge room. And there's mirrors on both sides of me, which I love to watch myself. And I'm riding him. And I'm like, I had to drink a little bit because that's the first time I ever experienced that. So I drank just a little bit. I looked up in the mirrors, and I saw all these people watching me when I was riding them, and I was like, oh my God, I love this. This is so hot. Like, and that became my fetish. In some way, I think everyone has a fetish. My fetish is like being watched or being videoed or watching myself even. So
Right.
yes. So it kind of like escalated from there very slowly, like doing stuff in the lifestyle with people and recording hits a little bit in there until it just kind of snowballed itself over.
Well, that's really cool that you had a really cool partner, because a lot of guys, I'm a guy I know, even being in the business for 30 years, a lot of guys really have a hard time with the separation, and some people get jealous, you know, the jealousy aspect. And so that's really cool that you had a really supportive partner that wanted you to explore your sexuality and take it to the next level.
Yes, that was a good time. Yes.
And then when did you actually, so you just did it gradually, right? You started with the videos, and it was solo videos, and you went to the sex club. Now you started noticing that was your hook, which is like, wow, I really like being watched. I like to be a show person. So that excited you more, right? I'm guessing?
Yes.
Watched?
Yes.
Okay. So when do you pull the trigger and say, I really want to be a legit porn star. I want to really be out there, put my videos out there. And really, the biggest thing is like not caring about what people think, about perception. That's a huge thing that I'm dealing with today, and I'm sure you do too.
Yes. I think because of my background, being in the military and feeling educated, and also I have a spiritual side as well, I usually don't let that, what other people think, doesn't bother me. I'm always one of those more workaholics than worried about what everyone thinks about me and having like a big social circle. So that was on my side, but I did have an incident in 2016, the very end of 2016. My parents found out about it. And
how did they find out, if you don't mind me asking?
They were staying with me for a couple weeks. They were thinking about moving back to Florida, and I don't know if they saw something in the office, or I'm not really sure how it all escalated. I'm not really sure, but during the course of this, there was an incident with me and my mom where I was reprimanding my son for doing something. She started yelling at me, started punching at me and kicking at me. So I blocked her. I told her to leave. My dad had to leave and not come back. The next day, she called DCF on me and told them like a lot of crazy stuff, that I was a drug addict, I was doing porn in my house, all this stuff.
Is that the Child Protective Services?
Yeah, I'm sorry, in Florida, that's Child Protective Services.
Okay.
I do have children. I have children, and I would never do that in front of my children, around my children, anything of that nature. But the woman came, the social worker came, and she like looked at me, saw my house. I have a nice house. Everything's clean, great. I have food. I was a nurse. I was working full time, and she's like, I don't understand. Your parents must really hate you. She's like, but the picture they painted was not what I'm seeing right now. And she's like, we can end this all if you take a drug test. I'm like, right now. I was like, okay. She gave me a 25 panel drug test, and I was obviously nothing.
You're clean, yeah.
Clean, because I don't do drugs. So
right.
So that just created a lot of hatred, because let's say that I did have a drug problem, or I was doing something that was jeopardizing my child. Why would you call DCF that could actually make me lose my nursing license and make my family make my kids in a worse position? And having it didn't make sense. Like, I heard so many stories of people that have had actual addiction issues, and their family helps them. They get them out. They take them to the right places to get help. So clearly, I'm not a drug addict, because I would have had a positive urinalysis. But it was more, I think, of a vindictive thing. I'm still not quite sure. I know my sister was a part of it, and at that time, she had gotten really into Christianity on a far right side, I guess you could say. So I don't know, and it's really, I haven't really spoke to them much in the last 4 years, because it's like That's your family. You don't expect anybody like that to stab you in the back in that manner. They're the ones that's supposed to pick you up. Like if that happened to my children, I would pick them up, get them the help they need. But clearly I didn't need any help. So that's where it's like the addiction comes in.
No, I hear you because like for me, family should be unconditional love. And it's really disturbing for me because I'm in the public eye just like you are. And I have a lot of negative, not a lot, but maybe 5% of comments and all this stuff where people they have their own judgments and they perceive you a certain way because it's all about perception and their upbringing and what they think and believe and, act on. And so I hear you. And it's really sad because if anybody should be, supporting you unconditionally, it should be your family, no matter what. I mean, you're providing a good home for your family, for your kids, for yourself. You have I'm sure, a positive environment. You seem like a very spiritual person. We've talked before. We've had many conversations. And I want to tell the audience that you're extremely spiritual. And this is the point I really want to make right now, which goes for you and for me. Just because we're in this line of work, it does not make us bad people. And this is what I want people to understand,
For me, it's been very healing. And to go back to that, I think the reason they wanted to give me your analysis is that one time I was on Xanax and Zoloft for anxiety and depression. And that happened after I got out of the military. So I had like a long bout of having anxiety attacks and untreated. And then I was on it, but it actually stopped once I started doing porn. Oddly as it seems, like I hear a lot of people go opposite and start doing drugs, but I think it made me feel a relief. Connecting with people in a way that releases that like anxiety almost, like working out.
Yes, yeah, it's a therapy. It's your therapy. That's why we work out, and it's our therapy.
Right.
And this is why
and
you
I
do
truly
this.
believe like Tantra is the highest form of meditation, which is a sexual meditation. So
now, do you include that in your sessions nowadays when you're helping people from the porn and then also into your tantric thing? Do you combine those as a service or to help people, or how do you do that?
I do, but I don't market it that way. I just do it as I'm really good at assessing people's needs and what they need to release, especially men. So I'm able to work with that without necessarily saying I'm doing Tantra.
Okay, so when the client comes in, you don't necessarily tell them what you're doing. You just help them as you see fit, as you're feeling them and feeling their energy and their vibe and everything at the moment.
Yes, definitely.
Have you, out of we'll just, for the sake of this interview, out of, let's say, 100 clients, how many of those experiences with you would you say, if you're being, objective, how many would you say leave you better than when they first came in? Just like when you have a workout, right? You always leave better, positive, mood and vibe and everything. So out of your clients, like how many would you say, percentage-wise, that leave better than when they first came in to see you?
I like to say 99%.
I mean, that one guy? I want to see what that one guy is.
I always get a lot of great feedback. Like just like amazing, because I'm in it and I'm real. I'm just not doing it mechanically as a job. I'm in it. It's like a dance. I put everything into it every time. So they feel that, and so I get a lot of good feedback from that.
Yeah, I noticed that on your.
And then I'm good at conversating, because a lot of men need to really also talk to feel that connection, so they can get the best experience out of it as possible.
Yeah, I noticed that on your profile, because you said that I'm the real deal. This is what I enjoy. I really enjoy it. This is not. So basically, you really don't have you know how they say, if you enjoy what you do, you never have to work a day in your life.
Yes.
So you're actually winning, because you're doing something you enjoy.
Now, yes. Now, when I was nursing full time, I felt the weight of every single day. Like every day was hard. It was hard to wake up. It was hard to get that positive motivation, to feel like this was my real purpose. Like the money, although it's decent as a registered nurse, is definitely not what I make now.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot more freedom. I have a lot more time with my children. I wake up every day and with gratitude, thank you so much for this freedom. Thank you so much that I can now wake up at my leisure and I can make my own day. I can spend more time with my children, especially with COVID now. Now I got a lot of time.
Right. That's awesome. And just to be clear with the audience, Jadan is completely legit. She's completely legal. She does not indulge in any type of or participate in any type of illegal activities. As we all know, the porn industry is 100% legal, and the way she does everything is completely legit. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay, now let me ask you this. So how do you balance you were just talking about time and everything like this. So how do you, well, let me ask you this first. When you leave the session, we're talking about the session, I just want to keep it in chronological order. When you leave a session, you give so much of yourself. It seems like you give a lot of yourself and your energy and your vibe, and you really care. It seems like you're a very caring person. We've had few conversations, and I can tell that about you. You're a very caring person. Now, do you feel that you exhausted after a session, or do you feel that you're invigorated? Which way do you go?
Most of the time invigorated. Mm-hmm. But I also am one of those people that I couldn't do. I don't like to do, say, more than 3 to 4 scenes or sessions in a day, because I think I feel like it waters it down. Mm-hmm. For what I'm trying to give, I like to give quality over quantity. So that's kind of what I go with. I have about that. But most of the time, I'm invigorated. Once I feel like I'm not being invigorated, I don't like that mechanical aspect. So I slow it down.
Yes, I understand, because you're giving so much of yourself, and this is a lot of people got to understand that in this industry, especially the way you are. And I used to do it even over the phone, being all the escorts, where you give so much of yourself. By the end of the day, you're exhausted. There are some people that are energy vampires that you'll notice that they will suck the energy out of you. And,
yes.
So you're
that's
doing.
Where the strength comes in. I mean, that's why I don't feel like I've had a lot of bad experiences with that, as far as feeling like there's energy vampires around me. Maybe it's like what your energy puts out, you attract. I believe in the law of attraction. Or maybe it's just that the way I am and the strength of what I've been through in my life doesn't really allow for that to happen.
Have you ever had any bad experiences at all in a scene with a client, or with a partner in the porn industry, or anything like that, on any of your sessions or whatever?
Honestly, no. I really haven't. That's just, I can't say that for everybody, but like I said, I'm very particular about what I do, and I don't do quality. I do quality over quantity. So I think that's kind of how I balance it out. And then using your intuition, but like when you're talking to someone to do a scene or a session, I'd always talk to them on the phone and get a feel from them. If I feel like there's something off, I don't do it. So.
Okay, so that's good. So you do a lot of screening. So you
I do a lot of screening.
And you seem like you're very connected, so you can always feel the person. I'm feeling something that it's not really jiving with my energy, so let me just let it go.
Yeah. Right. And then I've had sessions and scenes with people I thought were awesome, and other women will bash them. And I'm like, I don't get it. Then all I can relate to is maybe it's the strength that I have. It's going to take a lot more to bother me than somebody that is 21, 22, that hasn't been through life, who hasn't been to war, hasn't been educated, So yes. I think that's where that balance lies.
So let me ask you this. This might be a tough question, but I'm going to ask it. And you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but so do you feel that your life right now is balanced, and where do you go from here? Like, do you have set goals, time-wise or whatever? Like, where do you see yourself, let's say 5 years or 10 years from now? Is this the path you want to take? What do you like to happen?
So, right. I do have some goals in mind. So most of my porn has been independent, meaning that I've not gotten paid for them. I just go out and I do filming with other porn stars or other people that just want to do it. I have shot with a couple big names, so I was able to get on Pornhub as a porn star. But this is all from groundwork. I did it all myself. Awesome. So now I've been so happy to be able to meet other women in the industry, especially recently. We actually all just about 8 of us just went to dinner on Saturday. It was awesome being able to talk to other women in the porn industry that we can all relate to.
Nice.
But so some of the other porn girls have given me references of agents to use where you're not under contract. That was my biggest fear, was to be under contract for like 1 or 2 years, not have to do something. I have to go to LA for a week. I have to do this. Where I've been able to find an agent I'm going to reach out to that you're not under contract. So you're still basically calling your own shots, and they're just kind of hooking you up with the scenes for the bigger companies like Naughty America, Bang Bros, Brazzers. They have those kind of connections. So that's where I'm going next with it, because even it may not be like that part be a financial gain, but it's like I started this. I've gone through some heartache because of choosing to do this and not stopping, and so I want to take it to the highest point I can possibly. And also, I think that getting out there in that way, when it's time for me to take this to a level where I'm helping teach people about sexuality, I'm going to have more of a name for myself to do that.
So is that like your purpose, or your bigger goal is to be able to teach what you do to other people, whether it's male and female, or?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes. Yeah. And and be open about sexuality and understand more about yourself and other people through sexuality. So yes, that's my goal.
Yeah, I think you'll do really, really well. And I could see Jadan Snow's school of, erotic pleasure or whatever. So I have another question for you. I ask this to everybody that I interview. If somebody that's, say, 21, we just want to keep it, I like to keep things over 21, even though 18 is legal age, but I've always worked with people over 21. I just feel it's appropriate because 18, I feel is too young to know what they really want.
Yes.
So if somebody comes up to you at 21 plus and say, hey, Jadan, I'm really thinking about doing what you're doing. I want to get into porn. I want to get into escorting. What would you say to them? What would that conversation be like?
I think it depends on the person. And it depends on the reasons. I honestly wouldn't recommend it to somebody that young. That's my personal opinion. Especially
so what would you tell them, Jadan? What would you tell them? Let's say you and I are talking, listen, hey, Jadan, no, I've seen you on all over the internet. I think you're awesome. I think you're great. You're my role model. I'm only 23, but I really think I would be really good at this. I love sex. I want to do this.
Well, see, I mainly have had males come to me with this. A lot of males. And I have tried to educate males, and a lot of them are in their 20s on how to get started. Like, and I built a cheat sheet for them, like all this, and like educate them on camera angles and all. It's a very in-depth session when I do all that. But so on the female side, I don't know. I haven't experienced that. I'm sure you've experienced that more than I do, but I think that I would have to assess what their strength is, like when I'm talking to them, like how strong of a person they are.
So would you give them advice based on their personality? Like with me, I'll give you an example. So maybe that'll help you a little bit. When I did my Orange County, when I built my Orange County business, my escort service there, I had certain specific prerequisites before I hired someone. Like I had, like they didn't have to, there's no way they could have done it before. I don't want anybody that's experienced, because I want to teach them the way I want to teach them, the proper way. I wanted to make sure they're over 21, 22, 23, whatever. I wanted to make sure that they love intimacy with men. I wanted to make sure they have character trait of good work ethic, honesty, integrity. Even though we're in this business, like I said earlier, doesn't mean that we can't be honest.
Right.
In this business. Yes. Exactly. So I had some prerequisites that I built over, at that time, 25 years in the business. I know what works or what doesn't work. Like no drugs, for example, right? And I wanted to have girls that actually enjoyed men, enjoyed intimacy, and actually loved intimacy themselves. And I just wanted to make sure that all these character traits fit with what the escort should be, because just from experience, right? So let me throw that back at you. You being a porn star, you being the person that's been doing this for a while. I guess you've been doing it, 4 or 5 years by now?
Yes.
Okay. So you know what character works, right? You know what, like you were talking about strength. You want somebody who has enough thick skin or strong as a person. So what are those things that you would
Yes,
tell
I
somebody?
think that I definitely, if their main motivation is money, then I definitely wouldn't consider it, because it's not always going to be there. It has to be, and you have to be strong in what you, you're strong enough with your beliefs in sexuality, and not have been rid of yourself of guilt. I think for me, the younger people would be more out. I would prefer people in their women wise, like 25, 30 over, because I feel, being a woman myself, as I've aged, I feel like I've been more strong at sexually, and be more able to stop the manipulation of a man, because men can be very manipulative, and
Correct.
not feel guilty about what I'm doing because of what society's fed me. But I don't know, the new generation could be completely different and open.
That's right.
So,
That's right. But it's funny you
um,
say that, because I do agree. In my case, I found between 25 and 35, sometimes even 40, those were the ones that it was easiest for me to work with, and they were really easy to get along with and easy to be with the clients, because they know where they're at. They've developed, they're evolved. So you're right.
yes, yes.
So, question I ask everybody. I get contacted by a lot of people from overseas. It's legal in 90 countries as far as prostitution. I got people from Germany, Australia, Ukraine, you name it. Why isn't it? They can't believe it's not legal. A lot of them thought it was legal here because of Las Vegas and all the
Yes.
promotions. So my question to you is, do you think prostitution should be legalized? I know pornography is legalized. You got to get a license depending on the state, and they got all these rules and bylaws and all this stuff. But specifically for prostitution, do you think it should be legal or decriminalized, and why?
I think yes, an aspect of it should be. Yes. Yes, I do believe it should be, because
Which aspect of it? I don't want to put you on the spot,
I
but
think that I feel that what authorities are after is when they're afraid that there is like a pimp or an agency that are like misleading girls that are young,
or
or those
exploiting
girls
them.
aren't there by their own, they're there by force, or that's their last option, or their parents just died, now they have no one, like really bad places. And I think that, to me, that's what the authorities are stopping. So maybe if there is a process that allows, so that people that haven't been sexually traumatized, I've heard of so many women, and it still floors me, that are in the industry and have been sexually traumatized, and I feel like that can keep repeating their sexual trauma over and over again by doing this. So if it was legalized, there'd be mandatory testing for STDs, and then maybe they would go through an interview process to make sure they haven't been traumatized, and if they have been, get the help they need to get past that. So I think there would be definitely more social avenues for us as sex workers if it was legalized.
Yeah,
it's always going to be there. It's the oldest profession. And you know that what's kind of funny is that nursing was born from prostitution, from the brothels. Hundreds of years ago, the only people that would actually help the wounded and the sick were the ones that were in the brothels and prostitution, because they didn't have that upper class attitude of everyone needs to serve me. So they're kind of the ones in the fields during war helping. They're the ones that would help nurture the sick. And there was one woman named Florence Nightingale, somewhere in the late 1700s, early 1800s, that took it over to the Christian side of things, and who was a very rich upper class woman, and made it more of a science and art. So it's kind of funny that I am doing porn and I'm a nurse.
The nurse porn star. It's true though, because I believe, of course, it should be legal. And it's funny because the things you mentioned, I actually did. I didn't have to do them, but I felt it was the right thing to do, which is testing everybody. I sent them to a gynecologist, made sure that they were tested before they started working with me. I made sure they're over a certain age. I made sure everything was on up and up as far as safety and protection. We didn't do any type of intercourse without protection. it wasn't safe. And I told them, no matter what the client try to pay you, because money is the biggest motivator, and a lot of them were doing it for the money, 99.9%. I said, no matter what, you just refuse it. Don't ever do. In our business, it's called bareback full service, right?
Yes. No.
So that's right. Everything you said is exactly how I did it, and I just modeled it like if this was legal, how would I do it? And that's how I did it.
Oh, I definitely get that a lot, the bareback full service, because I do porn. So people want to shoot a video with me with it, but then I have to explain to them how it really goes in the porn world, that everyone gets it goes to talent testing, which is very expensive, like $300 every test. And there's like a whole process that's there. It's just not like people get together and start having sex. I don't.
Right. And they even have
that there would be okay. Women would be okay with this, knowing that I do porn. I'm like, that's it's crazy.
Yeah, and because I my clients all knew that I hired women that never done it before, they were under the impression that, oh, well, they're safe because they've never done it before. I said, no, it's no different than you picking up somebody from the bar. You don't know where they've been. I mean,
exactly.
you can trust my word, but I wouldn't trust my word as far as where that girl's been. Even though I tested her last week, you never know what happens between last week and today.
That's always the risk with porn. You don't know what happened in the last couple of days since they got the test.
And I don't know if you remember, but they shut the porn industry down a few times last few years because of that particular. Somebody tested HIV positive, and everybody that's been with them in the scene, they had to just shut the whole thing down just to make sure everybody's tested.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's very, safety is everything. I've always said, money is number 2 or 3 for me when I was in the business. Safety is always number 1, because if you don't have your health, you cannot help yourself or help anybody else. That's really, really important, right? Is there anything else you want to say? You got the floor. If you want to promote something, this is your chance. You can say whatever you want.
I didn't answer what I'm going to do in the next 5 years.
Yes.
So I am working on my real estate course. So awesome. To be a real estate sales associate. So I'm 70% done. I'm getting closer. So I'm kind of going to transition into that as I go up in the porn world and do mainstream, and at the same time start real estate. So I always have a plan.
Awesome. Well, you're a businesswoman, of course, so I could tell that. So that's very important,
So if anyone would like to reach out to me, you can look at my website at jadansnow.com, JADAN Snow, SNOW.com. I'm also on Twitter at Jadan Snow, Instagram, Jadan_Snow.
I'll put all these links on the bottom of this video when I'll put all the description. I'll put all your links on there for all our audience if they want to connect with you and see what you do. And if they're interested about how you work and all that stuff. So I'll put all that stuff for you. Is there anything, do you have anything in the works as far as like, maybe you're going to write a book or any type of entertainment thing, anything that's coming up down the pike? Are you working with like different people and stuff like that? Or would you like to be?
Like I said, I'm working on doing mainstream porn. Mm-hmm. I'm working a little bit on modeling because I'm starting to work more with really good photographers that are teaching me how to model. Because there's a difference between doing that and porn, let me tell you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm basically going into the mainstream, and then probably my 5-year goal would be to write a book after all that settles down.
I think you should. I've told you before that I've shared with you about my story, and I think you'll really have a very interesting book because of the dynamics that you do between porn and actually helping people and being a nurse in your background and transitioning into still care in a different way.
Yes, and helping women so they don't get swallowed up in the porn industry and just spit out. So I think that would be good to teach women how to be independent with it.
Like I'm writing a book right now, which is for the system that I developed in the escort business. And I always told them that really I didn't want them to do it more than a year, maybe 3 years if they have a really big, monetary goal. In the porn industry, what do you think is a safe time period to stay in it where you don't get to the certain point where I call it the point of no return, where you get financially stuck or like maybe even your own you build your own little prison inside you where you feel like you can't get out because you've been doing it so long and you've developed a habit. So what do you think that period is in the porn industry?
I would say 5 to 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it also depends on when you start, because if someone's in their 20s, early 20s, they want to get out within 5 years so they can get other foundation and background. Or I'm kind of going in opposite, or I already have that, so I have a little more leeway on what I'm going to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel rushed that I have to go start my real life. I feel like I already did my real life. Now I'm doing my fun life.
Yeah, you did it kind of backwards. It's very interesting. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but like I always told them, like, just get to your money and get out, because I have a couple of friends that have been doing it for 20-something years. They're millionaires and they're still in the business. And I asked them, and I talk to them every once in a while, and I ask them, like, why are you still doing it? Like, I don't know what else to do. I'm like, well, you got yourself stuck.
Don't like sex that much. They really like sex. They really like sex.
That's probably part of it, but you can get sex anywhere, right? I think they're we build the habit, and it becomes part of, like, especially people with routine. It becomes a routine. Like, okay, I get up, I go to the gym, then I'm going to answer my emails, I'm going to put my ads up, then I'm going to meet two people, and they feel like they can't do anything else. Some people just get stuck like that. You know what I mean? That's why I always told my escorts that I worked with, no, let's just get you in and get you out, because I don't want you to be 50 years old and millionaire, but you still think that this is the only thing you can do, because it's also a self-worth thing, as well. Especially with society and perception and all this, has a lot to do with it, I think,
Yes, definitely.
So anything else?
I think that's it. Just please find me on social media or my website, www.jadansnow.com.
You got it. I'm going to put all your links down there. And I really thank you so much, Jadan. It was a pleasure. It's been a long time. I've been waiting a long time to do this. I know my audience is going to have a lot of comments and stuff for you. Hopefully a lot of positive. I keep really positive people around our circle, and as far as my my domain with my subscribers and stuff. And I wish you the best of luck. I know you're going to do really, really well. You're doing great. You're looking awesome.
Thank you.
You're doing great. And I wish you the happiness and all the success in the world. I really do.
Right. Well, thank you. You too. I know you're going to do great. Yes,
thank you
you're
so
going to do
much.
great things.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.